Welcome everyone to the booking integration demo and pre-launch user acceptance training orientation. I'm Raphael, met all of you before, helping to manage this on the Cambridge Systematics side. And of course, we have a full house with other folks from CS, from Transit App, from CTS TripMaster, as well as our agency partners at Rolling Hills, Rochester Paratransit Zips, and Otter Express Transportation Alternatives. I have just a few slides to reorient us, and then we'll get into the demo. We're not going to do, I think, introductions for everyone here in the virtual room because that'll take a while. But again, we'll call out some key roles and some key contacts. So this is just what we want to do. Just a couple minutes on roles. We'll do a quick recap of our goals here today. Demo, which will mostly be me and Jen from our team, but with color commentary and support as needed from our partners at Transit and CTS. Then we'll go over the user acceptance testing instructions. And once we finish, we think we'll have a good chunk of time to start on the user acceptance test, sort of here in the virtual room, and support you all. But then you'll have another week or so to continue that on your own time. So again, who are we here today? MnDOT, Elliot, Jeff, Shaylee, and Lisa. MnDOT being the project sponsor, making this all happen. CS, that's us at Cambridge Systematics, providing project management as well as integration and sort of development of this booking module that's knitting together the various pieces of this functionality. CTS TripMaster, whom you all work with every day for your scheduling and dispatch needs, and Transit, who is our MaaS app partner and is obviously a leading transit app broadly in the market here in North America. And then you all, the transportation providers, the agencies providing service to riders in Minnesota, and you're going to be helping us obviously test this application as well as then use it in the real world. And so our goal is to pilot this implementation of standards-based booking integration. This is the transactional data specifications, which we talked about before and have been sort of developed as a proposed standard for this kind of booking integration. And we're making it happen in the wild, as it were, in real life, and trying to pilot this, implement it, and learn from it. Elliot, anything to add to that before I go on?
No, I think you did a good job.
All right. And I'm not going to go into detail here, but just sort of a recap of the basic concept here. The idea is that users will be able to plan a trip in the Transit app from their home to a common destination or whatever trip they need to plan. They will select the option to book online in the Transit app, and they will, after logging in, be able to view the ride request details and confirm them in this booking portal that we've created. That will automatically or at least digitally transmit the booking request to the TripMaster software that you all use, and that's where your staff, the agency staff, will see the trip request, be able to review it and approve it and schedule the ride. There are more details around that, but that's the general concept. And the second piece of that, once that ride has been booked and scheduled, users will be able to go back in the Transit app, find your information, find the provider, and view their previously booked or requested rides. And if they want, they can just confirm the details and just remind themselves what they booked, or they can request a cancellation, and then again that information gets transmitted through to TripMaster for your staff to manage. So that's the basic concept. But what does this look like in reality? So with this, I'm actually going to shift to a live demo, and that will mean I'm going to share a different screen. As I do that, any other comments, questions? Hopefully, this all makes sense, rings a bell, is in line with expectations. But again, as I sort of finish my tech setup here, if anyone has any comments or questions, feel free to chime in. Okay. So, all right. The first thing you're all going to do is give us your information to for your email and your phone address to download a test build of the Transit app. Oh dear. Probably should share that with you, Emily. And that's you will get an invitation to download Transit UAT build, which you see here on my iPhone screen. I will also, in the meantime, post that link so that you can input your information.
Raf, real quick.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything on my screen. I'm not sure if other folks can see anything.
I can see it okay, Ralph.
Okay.
I can see it.
Everyone can see my phone screen. All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
It must be an issue on my end.
Okay. So I did just post a spreadsheet, and actually, let me pull that up first before we get into this. If you follow that link, what you'll get is this spreadsheet. You can see Elliot and I have filled it out. Basically, we want your name, what organization you represent, but what you really need to give us is your email and your mobile device type. And the email has to be the one associated with your mobile device. So it needs to be the email that's in the App Store or the Android Play Store. And Transit app will take this, send you an invite for this Transit UAT build, and then you'll have instructions to download this, and you can use that for testing. Richard, Emily, did I get that all right?
Yeah, I'm thinking if there's going to be a lot of people, it might be simpler for me actually to distribute just a link, one for test flight, one for Android. Whoever wants to test will be able to tap the relevant link, and that way they'll gain access to a build. It might be easier that way if there's a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, I think we'll have probably about a dozen, right, Elliot?
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
up to you, how you want to manage it, Richard.
Well, if it's only a dozen, I mean, fill out the spreadsheet and I'll send out the invites then.
Okay. So once you do that, you'll be able to have this Transit UAT build, and you'll open it up. You'll get a request there'll be a couple screens to sort of set it up and allow to use location services. And it'll take you, if you allow it to use your location, it'll sort of show you where you are. I'm in New York City, but I'm going to pretend that I am instead in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Okay, so now I'm in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. And the flow of the booking module starts when a user plans a trip. So you plan a trip in Transit app by opening this search bar here and basically selecting a destination, or you can pick on the map. I'm going to pick on the map. I'm going to just pick a random location here in Fergus Falls. I'm also going to change my origin destination on the map to just a different location in Fergus Falls. But I want to show you, obviously, you could type something in here. I could type in 707 West Alcott Avenue. In Transit app, you have the option here to select when you want to leave. The default is leave now, but for the purposes of this demo, we can select leave at, and we'll pick next Wednesday at 11 a.m. You can also select arrive by. And then your options appear down here below. So I see I can take the Otter Express. So I'll select Otter Express here. And now it shows me notionally that, with this arc, that I can take Otter Express from my requested origin to destination. And I have the buy ticket bar here, which is the existing functionality. But what I also have now is this book online button. Whereas previously I had to call, now I can click book online. So I'm going to go ahead and click this book online. And it's going to open up a browser view inside Transit app. And it's going to ask me to sign in with an email and password. So this booking functionality that we're implementing does require a login. People, users, everyone will have to create a login. That's just sort of the reality of how this is implemented. So in this case, you would all click need an account, sign up, and you would sign up with a new account. You can all do that in the second half of this meeting. We can walk you through it. I already have an account, however, and I'll just notice some of these are pretty straightforward: email, birthday, address, given name, and family name. That's just the fields that the functionality we're using makes us use. Obviously, that's first and last name, and then selecting a password. I, however, already have an account, so I'm going to sign in. I'm going to just autofill that from my password manager. And it opens this booking portal, and it's populated with the trip that I already requested in Transit app. So you can see here, I can confirm I want to depart at November 8th, 11 a.m. from 707 West Alcott Avenue, Fergus Falls, Minnesota to 1006 South Sheridan Street. And it tells me this is going to be with Otter Express, agency phone number. Hopefully that's right, Kayla. And also, I have an opportunity, if I want to visit the Otter Express website to check the information there. But I'm going to go back to my booking request here. I do have the opportunity to adjust this if I want by changing the date and time in this menu. And then if this is wrong and I've decided I really don't want to do this, I can cancel and get out of this flow. But instead, I'm going to submit it. And it tells me my booking request has been submitted. I'm going to view upcoming trips, and I can see here, this is the trip request that I just submitted, this November 8th at 11 a.m. I had previously scheduled a trip, and for everyone, this is not a real trip. This is a test trip. None of this exercise is going to be sending your drivers out to real trips, but I had previously booked a trip there, so you can see that has showed up. But right now, I have this pending trip requested to Otter Express. So with that, Jen is going to go into CTS and accept the trip for me. Jen, should I let you share your screen to do that?
I can, or I just accepted it. So
okay, you just
want to
accepted
refresh?
it.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna I'm gonna go back to upcoming trips. It has refreshed. You see, we now have booking accepted. The status is now accepted. And once that actually gets scheduled to a pickup time, it'll transition to this booking scheduled status. So we have CTS on the call here. James, are you going to be the primary contact for support?
Yes, sir. I can be the primary contact. Yes.
Okay, so I want to just mention a couple things on the CTS side before we move on. First of all, for the purposes of testing, I think have we determined that CS, Cambridge Systematics, is going to be the ones reviewing and accepting or rejecting rides? We're not going to ask the agencies to do that in QA. Is that correct?
Correct. Either you all can do it on your end, or we can do it on our end too.
Okay. So we are going to so when you all submit test trips, when you all, the agencies, submit test trips, we're going to have to go in and either accept them or reject them. And we'll aim to do that on a periodic basis, once or twice a day. But if you can, during testing, sort of shoot us an email, and our contact information is at the end of this presentation, and let us know, hey, we requested 3 trips. Can you go in and accept them? I think that would be helpful. And MnDOT, that goes for you too, just because of sort of how the QA system works. However, once this goes live, you all are going to be doing that. And James, I think will set up training with all of you separately on how this functionality works in CTS. TripMaster, that should take 15, 20 minutes each. It's not a big time commitment. James, did I get that right?
Yes, that is correct. I'll schedule a brief training with all the providers here. It'll be super quick and it's really easy. So.
Okay. So I'm going to leave that to you all and James, but and Jen, we could show it, or James, you could show it, but basically you go into the CTS portal. There's a module where you see the trip requests come in a queue. You can review them and then accept them, reject them, and ultimately, as I said, schedule them. So now we have this booking that's accepted. I'm gonna say done. I'm back in Transit app now, and I'll just go out of this functionality, and I'll close out of this. And let's say I come back to this, and I want to go back and cancel the trip. So the way you do this in Transit app, you actually click this little option icon here in the top left, and you go to available services in this first screen. And I see Otter Express bookings. And again, Richard and Emily jump in here and correct me if I'm saying anything wrong. But you find this Otter Express bookings under available services, which is distinguished from Otter Express tickets. The tickets and bookings are separate. You click on the bookings and you say manage bookings. And this will, in a second moment, bring you back to this booking portal if you've closed it out, if we're sort of a later date. And now that I see these bookings and I can click on it, and I can click, if I want, cancel trip. And this will now send a cancellation request. And I can either say never mind, but if I really do want to cancel it, I click cancel trip. We see that the cancellation has been submitted. And now it's already marked as canceled. So that's the other piece of the flow that I showed you. I believe the request has gone through automatically to CTS and sort of been marked as canceled on the scheduling dispatch side as well. And that sort of completes the sort of life cycle of, you can book, it gets reviewed and scheduled, but if you decide you don't want to do it, you cancel it. And that's about
Ralph,
it.
I had a
Yes.
question on the cancellation notice. Is that a place where we can put information about cancellation policies specific to agencies?
So we actually do have information there that reflects what we've gotten from the agency's websites. That is different for different agencies, but that notice, Elliot, so I can show you that across different agencies. But if any of the agencies want to update that, absolutely send us that information and we are able to update that.
Okay, yeah. So I just point that out for agencies on the line as you're doing testing. If you want that language to be different, that is something that we can change.
All right. And this would work similarly for Rochester. If I were to select an address in Rochester, choose destination, say I want to arrive by November 16th at 2:30 in the afternoon. Should be able to select Zips Paratransit. Again, I get that book online option. And again, very similar. So that, it will work the same. We're only asking you to test your own agency, and we'll go through that testing process a little bit. But, this is, again, the basic concept, the basic flow. And with that, I think, I guess I'd like to pause and take any immediate questions, concerns, go back and show me that again, that didn't make sense, or what's missing, or, that's really cool, or whatever.
Ralph, can you show us what happens when somebody doesn't put in a leave by time? They just say now.
Sure.
I think there was an option like that kind of prompts them to, is that
Right.
correct?
So if we were to just do leave now, and then do book online, basically, the time is not filled out. So you really have this opportunity as a user. If you say leave now, your services are not meant to be used for leave now. So now the user has to sort of actually say, well, when do I really want to depart? Am I actually expecting to depart today? I think for Zips, that may be possible a few hours later in the afternoon. Someone from Rochester will have to correct me. But for Otter, that's not really how you operate typically. So, in this case, if I tried to submit, I think you would say fill out this field. It doesn't let me submit the booking. So at this point, then I can say, oh, I don't actually want to leave today. I want to leave, this Wednesday, and I want to leave at, 1:30 in the afternoon, and then I can submit. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, that looks great. Thanks.
All right. So any other questions about how this all works?
Ref,
you all want to-
I
Yeah.
think there was a message in the chat there.
Okay, sorry, I don't have the chat open. Do you want to read it out, Lenny?
Yeah, it says, RafGen, can you show how to accept or reject, or how accept or reject happens on the CTS system, so we have an idea how it looks and works?
Yeah, totally. James, are you guys okay if we show that briefly, or do you want to open it up on your side?
Yeah, either way, it's totally fine. I've actually got it open on my side, so if you want me to share my screen and go through it, I'm happy to do so.
Yeah, let's let CTS do it, just as the, since it's your software. And we can spend a couple minutes on that.
Sounds good.
Are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, I've got to get used to Teams.
While you're doing that, I will also post the link to the user acceptance testing script so everyone can confirm they can access that. And then we'll talk through that after James's piece.
Okay. Do you see TripMaster?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So for the providers out there that use TripMaster, so you'll see this is all going through what we call TripSync. So it's going to be, you'll see this button here once this is all enabled in production for you all. And this button will turn green when you have a new ride request come in like this, or a new update. So one got canceled from the system. So that will alert you when something new is out there. When you click that button, of course, it just launches up a new window. And you can see these rides here, for example, that were sent there in the demo. So here, for example, we've got the one here that was canceled. So that cancellation is automatically coming in. We're making a note of that cancel. It's being canceled in the system. And of course, you can see any changes. That one is pretty straightforward. It is marked as a cancel. Otherwise, you basically have the ride information and an accept or a reject option. Really straightforward here. If you accept that ride, of course, that's what you're going to see back on the other screen. There that Cambridge Systems was showing you. And then at that point, that ride is now in your holding bin. So accepted rides will go down into that holding bin for that date. I didn't check to see what date that was. That was 11/9 here. So if I do go down here and change my date to 11/9, you will see that ride down there in that holding bin. And this is going to show you any rides or any update or anything new in that system. And then of course you just have that accept. You'll see it, you have the reviewed all, etc. So you can, again, these are all accepted or rejected. You can mark them as reviewed, and that kind of clears them out in that unreviewed column too. So you can easily break those down. But that is basically just kind of a quick show of it. Again, I'll meet with everyone and kind of go into more details with you all on that if needed. But they'll just show there again where you just accept and reject. Accepted rides go into your system for scheduling, and of course rejected rides do not.
All right. Does that make sense to everyone? And James, are you going to reach out to the 3 TPs, or should they reach out to you for scheduling?
I'll reach out to them. Yeah, I can reach out to them for sure.
Okay. And you all should try to get that scheduled as soon as possible. But for now, we will, as I said, we will accept or reject rides on our end. I also see a question, does the rider get an email or text once they book or cancel the ride as a confirmation? I believe that's a separate configuration that gets set in the CTS system, so I can't speak to that specifically per provider. Again, that's something, James, maybe you can review with the agencies, whether that's enabled or not.
Yep, absolutely. They would go, that would, any communication there would go through the reminders or those reminder calls that we have. So if they are booked, they would get a reminder call as if you had scheduled them yourself.
And we have a question from Bill. If you reject, is there an option to suggest a new time?
Not in the current version on this. There's just basically the option to accept or reject.
I believe you can accept it with a different time than was requested. And so a little bit, it's up to your operating procedure at how you want to use that. Can you confirm that, James? In other words, if I were to request 11 a.m., I believe the TP can accept that, but actually schedule it for 11:20 or 10:45.
Correct. You have all the basic scheduling rules that you use today. You would use here, right? Just because they requested 11 o'clock pickup doesn't mean you have to pick them up at 11 o'clock.
When does that make sense, Bill? Okay.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, I mean, a little bit, it's up to you. If you can't serve it within a half-hour window, do you prefer to reject it, or do you prefer to, accept it and sort of say, but we can't make it, we can only make it 40 minutes before, and then call the rider separately. I mean, obviously, these are your riders. You still have the ability to call them if you want. But yeah, that's sort of how it works at the moment. Kayla also asks, when the ride request is denied or accepted, can the app give the rider a notification? Unfortunately, Kayla, that's not something we've scoped in this pilot to get sort of a active notification. You do have to go back and check in that booking portal. Okay. Any other questions about the functionality? Very good.
So
I
guess
yeah,
just
go ahead,
to
Elliot.
clarify on the denied or accepted, that would, though, they can go into their portal and see, like, to your point of seeing your rides, kind of your ride management. So they can check back there and see the status.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. They just won't get like a push notification essentially telling them that.
Right, correct. I mean, at any time you can go into your bookings and see. Now, in this case, I don't have any active bookings for Zips. There are different, the way this is implemented in Transit app, there are different buttons per agency, and most users are only going to be working with, one provider, but they do all take you to the same bookings page, which is by user, really. So if I had any Rochester bookings, they would be here and I could see the status of those, similarly Rolling Hills. Okay. All right. So let's look briefly at the UAT script.
Hey, Rolf, one last question
Yes.
from Bill about when the timeline, when this becomes live. I don't know if that's later on in your presentation, but there we go.
Well, and I can go through that briefly before we look at the UAT script. Basically, what we're asking you to do is to go to this UAT script and do the testing over approximately the next week. We're giving you about 10 days until the middle of next week. We'll talk to Elliot about the exact day we want to cut that off. We'll take that feedback from you all and make sure that everything is working properly. and then schedule a launch date. And what we're aiming for now in terms of launch date is the following week, the week of the 13th. We have to coordinate and make sure that everything is pointing to the right places with Transit App, us, and CTS. So we don't have an exact launch date, but approximately 2 weeks from now. And, I think and this is maybe between you all and Elliot, but, I think there is some more discussion to be had in terms of both marketing and user outreach. How do you want to recruit riders to use this and support riders? And that wasn't really that's not really something we had set up to discuss today, but, if Elliot, if you want to schedule an additional meeting on that front, obviously we're more than happy to have that with the agencies, or you can discuss that with the agencies, or, as appropriate. Okay. And I'll make this, there's not a whole lot in this PowerPoint presentation, but I'll make that available as well. It also has our some contact emails, although you can get all of those from this meeting invite as well. So the UAT script I'll put on screen here. Jen can talk through it. This is at the link that we provided. And what we'd like you to do is a very sort of step-by-step script that Jen has created. And it sort of walks you through the process that I just blew through really fast, and has you validate each step for your agency, for your device, and so on and so forth. So Jen, do you want to talk through that briefly?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to share my screen or just go off of your shared?
Just go off of my screen. You can tell me if to scroll down. It's the same document.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Yes, this is a detailed step-by-step, and I tried to break it down and give you a little heads up. The first section gives you some sample test addresses to play with, just to, you know where you are, but I didn't. So I put some samples in there. Starting at one, go ahead.
Jen, Richard and I wanted to make a point. You do need to select an address. If you search for just Rochester or Fergus Falls and don't put in a specific address, the geolocation may fail and may not validate the trip to send it to us. So do pick a specific address. Okay, thanks, Jen. Sorry, I just wanted to make that point.
No worries. No worries. Yeah, so depending on, which agency, I gave you some sample addresses to use, starting at 1.2. In this section, this really kind of reminds everybody to test this section of 1.2 multiple times. Do some leave nows like Raf had just demoed, leave ats and arrive bys. So as you're going through, you enter your origin, your destination, your leave, you got your leave now button, but depending on what you pick, you'll keep going through this section. I kind of give you a little outline of Transit App until you get to the point where you can hit the book online button. Once you get the book online button, the next section talks about your authentication. If you have not signed up yet, meaning you're not on our system, it'll tell you, you'll get the screen, it'll say, hey, sign in. But if you're not there yet, you have to click the sign in button. And if you're a new user, I walk you through what you need to do to get a new user in there. And then you get the sign up button. When you click that, you will get a code, a verification code in your email. Once you get your verification code, you type that in and you can confirm your account and you're good to go. If you already signed in and you've already signed up, now you can, when you get this screen, you can just sign in with your email and your sign in password. There's options, and these are optional tests I put in to keep an eye on. If you forgot your password, you can test the forgot your password section. And if what we have is, it is caching. So you can stay signed in. I think we have it, Lenny, jump in if I know we changed it to how many hours now?
It caches it for 30 days.
Okay.
So it'll store for that amount of time.
Yes. So you may all have noticed that when I went back to manage my bookings or book again, I didn't have to sign in again. And we don't want the users to have to remember their password every time. So that's what, we're talking about with the credentials caching.
Yes, thank you. So, and at one point after 30 days, it will make you sign in back in again. If we go to step 3, this is where the crux of the system is for us on my side here. Once you get your trip in, depending how you entered it, whether it was a leave now, leave out, and arrive by, everybody gets the top sections of 3.1.1, and it will say, hi, welcome to our system. And then each section's broken out, that if you do a leave now, it tells you that the time will be blank. You must fill in the time to go forward, and it tells you to skip down to another step. If you did a leave at, the times will come in and again, skip down to the next step or an arrive by. So they're all spelled out for you as to what you need to do depending on how you entered your trip. And then all the trips will go from the remaining sections just to make sure your pickup and your drop off time is correct, location is correct, your agency and your make sure that the data is not editable. That's just QA coming in there. There's also a cancel button here that you can actually cancel your trip or submit button. And again, I am looping you through that if you do hit the cancel button, you must go back and resubmit a trip in order to go forward. The booking management page will show all the trips that you've booked. You can sort ascending or descending, and then you'll get a list of all the trips and their statuses. If you, at the very bottom, there it tells you also to make sure you see your counts, that once you get past 10 trips, it'll show you 1 of 10 or something like that at the bottom. And then the book trip detail, when you click on the trip detail, it will bring you to the next page where you can actually see the details of your trip for the pickup and the drop off time, the estimates of those as well. And then the cancel trip button at the very bottom if you want to cancel your trip. And I walk you through whether you get the agency message. And then once you confirm it, you'll get a generic thank you for your cancellation. At the very bottom, there's a button to return back to your upcoming trips. And then section 5 just outlines the 5 different, or is it 5, 6, 5 different statuses. You come in as pending. If you reject, you'll see booking rejected. If you cancel, you'll see cancellation pending, and it will jump to canceled right away. Sometimes you may not see cancellation pending depending on how fast the server is. And then if you do submit, you'll get booking accepted. And once someone puts a scheduled time in, you'll get booking scheduled. Any questions with these script tests, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help walk you through. And any questions, let me know.
And we can take a few minutes to let you start the login process if you'd like, depending on how much time we have left here. What we'd like you to do, I mean, this is it really walks you through it, as Jen said. So depending on how much time you have available, if you can plan at least one trip, but a few trips, and just, save this as, save a copy. So I would save this as, Raphael Barsham, test 1. And then you send it back to us basically when you've done your testing. And as Jen said, we're going to have to go in and accept and reject trips for you. So if you have a chance to let us know, hey, I requested 3 trips, reject one of them, whatever. But if not, we'll just do that on a periodic basis, and you may have to check back the next day to complete the test. Does that kind of make sense to everyone? I realize this looks like, a lot of testing, but they're all just very granular steps. So you should be able to march through it in really just a few minutes. Jen, did we say how long this whole thing takes? I mean, it should take no more than 15 minutes, really.
I think your first time through will be your longest. Once you get going, you can skip some steps because you've already tested them, and you'll start knowing where your eyes should fall. But yeah, I think we didn't really time it out, but it won't be bad.
Any questions about the testing process, as Jen said, and she really is here to support you. I am as well. You can always go to MnDOT. We're here to make this work.
I have a question. Maybe I just missed this, but in that test script document, what is the column P/F?
Oh, pass fail. So if it works, put a P. If it doesn't work, put a F. Yes, sorry.
Okay, thank you. I'm sitting here racking my brain. What is that? Okay, thank you.
Sorry, that was my bad with QA. Sorry.
No, I should have known. Thank you.
It's in the if you open it in Word, it has a header with instructions. In the web view, it's not showing that. So if you save it on your computer, you'll see that. But we can also make that we can just modify that here to make it more explicit. All right.
Hey, Raph, have and we can talk about this after the call or maybe in our weekly check-in, but have you guys been thinking at all about what kind of like end user support documentation, or do we want to do maybe record a video of, you know, the final process of the different things that the actual app users would be able to see to kind of understand how the system works?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, Elliot, and I alluded to that, earlier in terms of recruiting and supporting riders. And to some degree, I would defer to the agencies. If we were to record a brief video, just for the part about using the transit app and booking portal, would that work best? Is a how-to guide better if we just take screenshots and lay it out as steps? Both. I did mean to say that, yeah, we'd like to put that together in the next couple weeks before the launch date, and we could talk more about it tomorrow internally, Elliot. But I'd also,
Sure.
want to loop in the providers to see what works best for their riders.
Okay, and I guess just a question of like, where does that rest? Is that under the customer support section of the transit app, or is that something that's linked to something that you guys host as part of the booking portal? So just that's something to think about too.
Sure. Or we provide it to the to the providers, to the agencies. I mean, we can make a private YouTube video. There are different ways to handle it. It just,
well, I'm just thinking that I think you're going to want something that is accessible through the app, because the person using this may come to it just by having downloaded the transit app and using
Okay.
it. So they may not have had an initial interaction, or they do have interactions with the agency, but they haven't tried this on the transit app yet. So I do think we need to have some sort of customer support, whether that's a kind of, as you said, either linking to a video or linking to a kind of a screenshot description, or both. But I think that needs to be somewhere accessible within the app.
Okay. We'll have to talk it over with transit and see what's feasible.
Right. I mean, I
but-
guess the question would be, maybe, is that something like, if it's not possible within the transit app, is that something you could just link to on one of the pages in the booking portal? Like maybe
Yeah.
when that maybe when the first login, or like when they get
Yeah,
started, or something like that.
Well, we'll lay out some options. Unfortunately, the login page is quite inflexible for various reasons.
Okay.
But
Sure.
again, we'll lay out some options and work with transit to come up with the best suggested option.
Sounds good.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions? Again, I don't have the chat open. Let me see if I can. Anything from the providers? Okay. Well, we can give people 10 minutes back. We can also support you if you want to do any testing. Of course, you don't have the transit app test build, but we can give you a link directly to sign up and set up your login if you'd like. If we think that would be useful, Jen and Lenny, we can just paste that link in the chat to let people set up accounts, but it won't be on their phone. So maybe that's not worth it. Yeah, or we can just wrap up 10 minutes early. We'll send out various materials via MnDOT as a follow-up. And then we'd really, ask you to dig into some some testing with the transit app UAT build and with the test script we've provided. And let me put the contact info
Yeah,
back on the screen.
can you link again the spreadsheet, the sign up spreadsheet? Because I don't know, a couple folks were coming in a little later, and I'm not sure if that's still in the chat for people who joined late. So again, this will be to get your UAT app. You'll want to fill out your information in there in the spreadsheet. So this is sort of next steps to get the testing transit app, the UAT app. Put in your contact information and make sure you're using an email that is connected to your App Store account on the device that you want to test on.
Yeah, and on my end, Richard from Transit here. I'll send out the invites within a day or two. If people fill that out today or tomorrow, I can send out the invites.
Awesome. Thank you, Richard. And if any of you have any issues with downloading the test build or, opening the test build for Transit app, work with Richard. He's provided some great support to our team. You'll have that invite from him. Again, I realize there are some different pieces to this. There's the Transit app, the booking portal, there's your TripMaster software, but hopefully we're going to link it all together here and just, let us know if you have questions as you go. Okay. You know what? Why don't we just wrap up 10 minutes early then and give everyone some time? We'll send out all the links we shared, and we'll send out these slides. You have the recording. Elliot, do you want us to send everything to you and you'll distribute it? Or should we just reply all to the meeting? Do you have a preference?
I think you can just reply all to the meeting. That's fine.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll include a copy of the UAT script, but it's also available at that link. And I think that's it. But let me just, again, one more time, open up the floor. Anyone from CTS, any other comments? Anyone from Transit or Elliot, any final comments?
I'm good on my side.
I think that's good. Thanks, Raf. We will try to go ahead and get the recording downloaded and posted of this within the next day or two. So I will send that out to the group as well. It'll be linked to most likely a YouTube link to the MnDOT YouTube service. So for those who had to join late, or you just want to go back and look at this again, we'll send out the recording to the group.
Okay, and I just want to thank everyone. Thank CTS. I want to thank Transit, MnDOT, obviously, and all of you from Rochester, Rolling Hills, and Otter. We're excited about it. We're here to help you make it work. So please be in touch.